The end of a dictatorship, the beginning of a blooming business relationship for many others. We're talking about Libya, of course, and all of the doors are opening to companies around the world right now. The race is on. Who's going to get in there first, or who's already in there? That's one of the topics we're going to tackle today here on Made in Germany, DW TV's business magazine. I'm Ben Fazulin. Here's what else we've got lined up for you. The economists of tomorrow. Are they going to be better equipped to deal with financial havoc? Making German cars with a Mexican flair. VW's giant plant in Puebla. And the ergonomic joys of riding a recumbent bicycle. OK, let's have a look at what's up for grabs in Libya. Besides freedom, of course, for a lot of people, there are some big business opportunities waiting in the wings for global competitors, especially when it comes to reconstructing parts of the country. And the oil sector, which already plays a big role. Libya is Germany's most important trading partner in Northern Africa. 2010 saw imports worth over 3 billion euros, a lot of that black gold. That puts Libya well ahead of Tunisia, Syria and Egypt for German firms. Just a few weeks ago, a business delegation from Germany was in Libya. In the following report, we take a look at company owners. On the one side, they're hoping for a rush of new orders, but on the other side, they're still trying to come to terms with the horrifying scenario of civil war.
Here we are on Freedom Square, right on the waterfront.
These photos were taken in late summer by the German shipping company executive Ralf Kaptein while he was in Benghazi, eastern Libya. He was very moved by what he saw and experienced there.
It affects you deeply when you realize that 25,000 people were killed, all between 20 and 30 years old.
Along with a delegation of German business people, Ralf Kaptein was in Libya on a 22-hour visit to establish a presence and make and renew contacts. The Germans came back infected with the revolutionary spirit sweeping the country.
I wouldn't say you could compare it 100% with the fall of the wall in Germany. But I think that's the best way to put it across to viewers, what it felt like to be standing on that square just then.
Bremen-based Sloma Neptune Shipping is a key participant in the global commerce with Northern Africa. They've been shipping vehicles and industrial goods there for some 60 years. Now they're hoping trade with Libya will get moving again.
Okay, I see. About when is that going to be? Maybe mid to late September in Benghazi.
The visit could be the kickstart Libyan trade needs. Henning Schnauz is a Bremen shipping agent. He's trying to collect enough consignments for a trip to Libya to pay off.
Fine. We can clear that up later.
Bis dann. Tschüss.
Schnauz is shipping German-made oil industry equipment, such as these valves. They were in high demand before the civil war. But Germany declined to take part in NATO's operations against Gaddafi. And now Schnauz is worried that companies from other countries have gained an advantage over German firms.
The Italians, French and English did more to help liberate the country. That's the way it is. So my approach in dealing with the Libyans on site now is that we are not Germany and we are not German policymakers. We are German companies. We have business interests.
So far, shipments bound for Libya have been slow to get underway. Manufacturers and suppliers are holding off on doing business with the country until they have some idea who will be in charge, what course they'll pursue, and how reliable they'll be as customers. Almost all Libyan companies are state-owned. Hans-Meyer Ewart is chairman of the German African Business Association, which represents German business interests in Africa. He was also in the delegation visiting Benghazi. In July, while the civil war was still raging, Meyer Ewart was lobbying for German business with the head of the Transitional National Council. He doesn't seem too concerned that German companies will be at a disadvantage in Libya.
Major German companies are involved in the oil and gas sector, as well as everything connected with infrastructure, road construction, electricity, energy. Germany has a lot to offer here. We have the expertise that's always been in demand in Libya, and I'm assuming it will continue to be in future.
Sloman Neptune has been entrusted with an extremely important contract, transporting 25 containers full of cash from England, where Libya has traditionally had its banknotes printed. The shipping company should soon have enough cargo for its first transport to Libya since the start of the civil war there, even if it will barely turn a profit from the trip.
The marine insurers are still demanding a so-called war premium. We have to pay that, and it's exceptionally high.
It'll be expensive.
When the conflict was at its peak, it was much more expensive, but it's still a 5-digit number.
The companies are confident their ships will soon be on their way to Libya.
German and European stock markets saw another massive drop in share values at the start of this week, with the DAX reaching a 2-year low. The reasons for the crash are high debt levels here in Europe, as well as the threat of a new international banking crisis. Investors, politicians and economists are extremely concerned about the current situation, and there are a lot of traders scratching their heads. One pressing question is, have we learnt anything from the Lehman Brothers collapse and its consequences? And didn't anyone see this new disaster approaching? That's exactly what a lot of people are debating right now, including some of the top managers of tomorrow studying at Berlin's Hetty School of Governance. We decided to tag along to hear what they think about the economic chaos right now and how they'd tackle some of the most pressing issues.
It's the opening of a new academic year at the Hetty School of Governance in Berlin, combined with a graduation ceremony for those who've just earned their Executive Master of Public Management degrees. The students hope to obtain leading positions in politics or business. Stephen Schmerz is one of them. As usual, the year kicks off with a champagne reception, but the financial crisis is on everyone's minds.
A lot of the theories we've learned have proved to be not quite correct in retrospect. So we need new theories, new ideas, new economic findings.
One of those responsible for introducing the students to economic concepts is Professor Mark Halleberg. This course is called Designing Fiscal Rules. It examines the ways policymakers can influence the economy. Today's politicians are not getting very high marks for their crisis management skills.
I'm disappointed. I think there should have been a more energetic commitment to the euro from the start. We should have made clear that this is our currency. We stand behind it, and the cost is not too high. I think that would have brought more stability to the markets.
But maybe not. No one here claims to have a foolproof recipe to resolve the crisis. The academics are divided, the politicians are squabbling. For Mark Halleberg, that's a normal state of affairs.
The world's a complex place. You could have, that's one of the things we bring up in class, two people may see the same thing or the same event in very different ways. And we do accumulate knowledge over time, but again, things happen very quickly. And very reasonable people can have very different perspectives. And that's part of the issue too.
Professor Halleberg's students also have widely varying views on how to tackle the debt crisis in Europe. Some say they can't even imagine a world in which everything is regulated.
We're living in a world where we're bumbling along from problem to problem, where the problems are becoming increasingly complex, and where there won't be smooth sailing anymore.
These students hope to help shape the future, even though they can see their generation will be inheriting a mountain of debt.
With a little optimism, you can see how much more can be done. If everything were taken care of, there'd be nothing meaningful for us to do.
A new crop of graduates have received their Executive Master of Public Management diplomas. Now they'll head out into the world of the politicians and economists to see if they can improve things.
So could these guys make the world a better place? Thomas Straubhaar joins us now from the Hamburg Institute of International Economics. What do you think? Are they learning something the economists of today missed out on?
Hopefully, yes. I think it's time to revise our theories and to implement the insights we have received from the financial crisis. And my belief was before that financial markets are efficient. And today I think that the market failure is also something that financial market hits, and that it is not the exception, it is the rule that financial markets may fail.
So personally, is it something that you've had to change your way of thinking?
Absolutely. I was before much more optimistic about the efficiency of markets, and especially of financial markets. I thought that they really deal with all the information they have. And nowadays, I think that the interests are more relevant for the actors and their personal interests, what they are going to do and what they really try to change.
Now, we're in uncharted waters in this euro crisis, and economists, economics involves a lot of theory. How much of it is actually based on practical experience then?
Quite a lot. I think the newer trends in economics go towards empirical test of the theories. And I think macroeconomists of today, they always have to select data and then to look whether the data confirm the theory and whether they have to change theoretical arguments.
Now, the head of Deutsche Bank, Josef Ackermann, has warned there are a lot of banks that could go under. Haven't the lenders learnt anything from the Lehman Brothers crisis, for example?
I think they really learned the lessons, but the real question is, what are the consequences? How fast can you change politics to implement all these insights? And I think the difficult part is that you have to convince all the countries to get towards global rules for the global actors in the financial markets. And this is a difficult task because the interests in the United States, in the Great Britain, are different from the interests of the continental Europe.
Well, economists, politicians, none of them seem to have the right solution. And I suppose there isn't one solution. But are there some workable solutions that are coming to the forefront?
Yes, absolutely. I think that today we should think in the techniques of scenarios. For example, in this fall, we will probably see different scenarios for the Eurozone, whether they will go forward towards kind of a fiscal or transfer union and to make Europe even stronger than before. Or another scenario could be that it breaks up and that some countries leave the monetary union. So I think the insight is that we should probably think in scenarios and indicate what do they mean and what should they really tell politics.
Well, as far as unity goes, Eurobonds, that's something that sparked heated debate. Everyone I've talked to is totally against them. Do they have a chance of standing up?
I'm not sure whether this is not the typical German view. In Germany, indeed, we are completely against Eurobonds because it means then that Germany is the payer of all the costs that may come with it. But I think it may be one of these scenarios, one of these solutions to take, that we have kind of a Eurobond, kind of a common facility to give weaker countries kind of credits.
And another thing, short selling, a global ban on that?
Yes, absolutely. But again, this is definitely something we should do immediately. But again, it is difficult to find an agreement on a global basis, because if you do not go toward the global agreement, then you always have gaps that you can go into.
Well, globalization took hold a long time ago. Is that something we're missing out on, thinking globally?
Indeed, I think that this is the key question, that the markets have become global, actors have become global, but the regulations, politics is still kind of national, and this is a discrepancy that you have to overcome sooner or later, hopefully sooner than later.
Okay, Thomas Straubhaar, thank you very much for your insight. Well, a bit of history for you now. The German car maker VW set up its first production line in Mexico in 1964. It initially concentrated on the domestic market, but a couple of decades later, it was using the key location to sell to the United States. 80% of the vehicles are now earmarked for export, and we're talking 435,000 cars a year. The giant plant on the outskirts of Puebla is around 100 km south of Mexico City and has basically become a car town with a decidedly German influence, of course. We sent our team there to find out more as part of our series, The Car Making World.
People in Puebla say that when VW sneezes, the city catches a cold. 15,000 residents work at the plant. Many more work for suppliers. Michael Röck-Ramirez is a German engineer employed by the supplier Brose. He makes machine tools for Brose's local plant.
We save on transport costs from Germany. We have a department just like this one in Germany, just a lot bigger. There's one in China too. You can say the local markets are covered by local departments.
Workers here make car door systems for Volkswagen and other automakers on a piecework basis. Harald Röck has run the Puebla site for 13 years. It's based just around the corner from the VW plant, so components can be delivered swiftly.
Okay, this is an order that's coming in, namely just in sequence. VW will make the car in about 3 hours' time, and these are the different types. The customer doesn't just make only blue cars, or manual or electric ones. The manufacturing varies greatly.
The supplier delivers several times a day to ensure production at VW never stops. The Volkswagen site at Puebla is a small town in its own right, with its own streets, restaurants, and various production plants. It's so big that visitors have to be driven around in special electric cars. Carla Masip gives tours of the plant, both in Spanish and German.
I studied here at the German school in Puebla, and my father works here at Volkswagen, so I'm branded by Volkswagen.
VW makes 2,250 cars a day at Puebla for export around the world.
This is Puebla. The blue lines are the trains to the North American region. The red lines are the shipping routes to South America, to Brazil and Argentina, and to the Caribbean, Australia, Japan, and China.
4 out of every 10 cars made here go to the U.S., VW Mexico's most important customer. Puebla is Volkswagen's second biggest production site in the world. Some models, like the Jetta, are only made here. So was the new Beetle. The production line is state-of-the-art. Only a few tasks are carried out by hand, like the fitting of the door systems made by Brose. The location is attractive partly because of its proximity to the U.S., with benefits from free trade agreements, and partly because of low production costs. Mexican workers earn only between 3 and 5 euros an hour. VW built the Puebla site 30 years ago. Hundreds of suppliers have followed it here since then.
There are around 1,000 German companies throughout Mexico, including in the automobile industry. But the high concentration in Puebla means the city stands out.
Some people in Puebla are quite critical about the city's dependence on VW. Michael Röck-Ramirez is too.
I think it's a love-hate relationship. Sure, VW provides lots of impulses for development in Puebla, but people know they're dependent on this company. That's true for us too. We're here because VW is here.
Röck-Ramirez is married to a Colombian and speaks fluent Spanish. He's adapted to the local style of life, like most of his German colleagues.
I'd say there were very few here at the beginning who didn't really fit in. People who didn't like the weather or the food or thought it was all too untidy and crowded here. But most of my colleagues, nearly all of them, appreciate what we have here. They use the possibilities they have and are more or less integrated.
Röck Ramirez has seen quite a few automobile production sites, but he prefers Puebla. For him, Mexican culture, the professional challenge, and the sunshine are an ideal combination.
And staying with the auto sector for a second, it's time for our question of the week. What's your most memorable car story? I don't want to read any horror stories about crashes, heard enough of them in my lifetime, but maybe you've got something more positive to tell us. To do so, go online and fill out the questionnaire. You'll have the chance of winning this USB card with our special coverage of 125 years of the automobile. And if you happen to be in Frankfurt next week, we've also got 10 double tickets up for grabs for the International Motor Show, which is the biggest of its kind in the world. Last week, we wanted to know what you think needs to be done to combat hunger in the world. Mr. G.S. Abhishek from India wrote in saying equal distribution of wealth would do the trick, but that's virtually impossible. However, he did offer this advice. He said, while many people think wasting food makes them feel affluent, donating food would certainly make them feel richer. Thanks for writing in. Time to sit back, relax, and take your bike for a ride, which mightn't sound all that relaxing, but it is if you've got a recumbent bicycle. It's a huge trend here in Germany, and there are more and more of them on the streets every day. The way they're built allows you to lie back, redistributing your weight over a larger area as you're supported by your entire back, not just your bottom. Here's more from our series, Handmade in Germany.
These recumbent bikes may look unusual, but they're surprisingly fast and comfortable. The recumbents are manufactured in an old factory building. Company manager Marek Haser commutes to work every day on his 3 wheels. Every single recumbent manufactured here is handmade to order.
With the skills we have, we can do good business building individual bikes. That's the handmade hallmark. We can make individual bikes to the customer's specifications. For example, this bicycle, custom paint, custom tires, or this hand cycle with a small front wheel. These things are very unique.
The process of building a tandem like this requires several hundred steps, at least a day's worth of patient work for a mechanic. Marek Haser started building recumbents when he was still in school. He's just received the Red Dot Designer Prize for this model. More than 1,000 hours of development went into this bike. Marek and his co-workers burned the midnight oil many a night.
We worked on the canopy for 1.5 to 2 years. At first it goes quickly in great strides, but after a while you get caught up in the details.
40 employees work at the plant. They can produce up to 13 bikes a day tops. These recumbent bikes sell for an average of €3,000. Accessories such as electric motors cost extra. Marek Haser designs about 70% of the parts on the computer, working together with other engineers. Before a model goes into production, he builds the prototypes in the turning shop. That has advantages.
Since we develop and build prototypes, we have to make facilities for testing them. So it's essential for us to have a machine shop.
And the team also has lots of fun testing the products. But so far they haven't had any serious accidents, though.
And that rounds off this week's show. We'll be back again next week, not from our studios here in Berlin, but the city of Stuttgart, one of the major car manufacturing centres in Germany. Stuttgart isn't just home to Daimler and Porsche, but also the world's #1 supplier of car parts, Bosch. We'll be visiting Robert Bosch's historic villa and getting a behind-the-scenes look at the company's factory. Hope you can join us for that. Until then, thanks for watching and see you again soon.